KUAM TV 8, your home for the 2018 Winter Olympics.
Off today and welcome to Weekend Edition. I'm Crystal Paco, so glad you could join us. Guam's crime rate is going down. This according to the Guam Police Department's recent uniform crime report. Here's more. Guam Police Department's transition from traditional to community policing is working.
The best way to be able to deal with crime, or better deal with crime, is by policing the people the way the people want to be policed. By allowing the community and the community to be able to collaborate more closely with the Guam Police Department.
Chief of Police J.I. Cruz addressed the press earlier this week to discuss the downward trend in crime they're seeing in their 2016 Uniform Crime Report. The report covers years 2012 through 2016. Though it seems the opposite, crime news often dominating the headlines, particularly those involving drugs, that's not the case.
Does it mean that there are more drugs on our island? Does it mean that there are more violations on our island? Not necessarily. There's an increase in the amount of interdiction that's happening. It's the police department increasing the interdiction based on those needs of the community, because that's specifically what the community want, that you see a perceived uptick.
While it's a small victory, it's no reason to celebrate. GPD still battles with a shortage of personnel. Based on Guam's population, GPD should be operating with 527 officers strong, compared to 300 that currently comprise the force. More officers would lower response times for calls.
The goal that we are trying to get to is lower than 5 minutes response time.
Until then, calls are responded to based on priority. Calls for home invasion or an armed robbery taking priority over theft cases, for example.
What we tell the public is it's a matter of prioritizing. We work very diligently to meet their needs, but we respond to those particular calls and what those needs are.
For a complete look at the report, visit gpd.guam.gov. Progress at the prison as they continue to deal with overcrowding. DepCorps Director Kate Baltazar says upgrades are in the works. They just received their electronic locking mechanisms and doors, which are in process of being installed. She adds they haven't used one of the 4 dome units for some time, but new roofing is going up so that all the units there can be used for the prison population.
We're still overcrowded, but on the average, we're seeing some decrease in the detainee population to a certain degree. Minuscule, but every little bit helps.
The repairs to the dome units are expected to be completed by March of this year. Math, science, social studies, the list goes on when it comes to what our youth are learning in the classroom. But imagine in science learning to grow plants on a farm. Carmen Terlahi reports students in this next story are getting their education in a rather untraditional way.
Children are the future for a sustainable Guam.
Today we are learning about service learning, and we are learning how to put together projects and addressing our peers about how they can better our community.
Danny Uggan is an 8th grade student in Agatha Johnson Middle School who participated in DOE and Homeland Security's Youth Summit at the Westin. So what is she looking forward to the most? Well, volunteering is at the top of her list.
Something I'm looking forward to is St. Dominic's, especially with the elderly. I like helping them and making them happy, just, keeping them company and everything.
There's a world outside the classroom. Rodney Palma, a social studies teacher at Antolon Middle School, explains how civics community projects go hand in hand with social studies.
Because I teach social studies, it's really important that the kids they bring the lessons from the classroom to the real world situations.
That's exactly what Bailey Uggan, an 8th grader at Agata, says she's learning in science.
In science class, we were actually learning how to plant a garden, and we could grow plants and give it to elderly.
And beyond recycling and beach cleanups, it's about revitalizing and sustaining culture.
One of the most important things about service learning is civic responsibility and citizenship. And that is what will sustain our cultures.
The keynote speaker at the Teachers Conference, Dr. Koming Wei, literacy senior specialist in Hawaii, goes around the Pacific region teaching teachers how to incorporate sustainable practices into their curriculum.
For the past few days, I've been really working with teachers to use nature and hands-on as a textbook for service learning. What does nature say it needs? You know, taking care of the beach, taking care of the forest, and then integrating it with research around trees, botany, coral reefs, whatever have you.
For 7 years, she's seen service learning on our island grow, but still, it's challenging to make it accessible to all children.
And some of the challenges is more logistical. You know, getting transportation is a problem throughout our whole region, not only just Guam, Hawaii too. We have buses are very expensive. So how do we get children from point A to point B to conduct service learning? It's an issue.
At the end of the school day, Dr. Komingwei says it's really about the community working together, pointing out a highlight of the conference. Teachers are excited to make service learning part of their classes. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Decision 2018 is in full swing, so the Guam Election Commission has some important information candidates and voters need to know. Nick Delgado has more.
Gearing up for the gubernatorial election.
We're very busy already. We're fielding lots and lots of questions.
Homeland Security in the last year designated election systems as part of our nation's critical infrastructure. It's an effort to ensure the process is done right. Guam Election Commission Executive Director Maria Pangilinan says her staff is starting off the year conducting campaign seminars for anyone involved in the election process.
What we go through are what's required of the candidate when he or she comes into file and the election campaign contributions and expenditures. It seems to us, the Guam Election Commission, that those are the questions that need to be answered.
The seminars are held twice every second week of each month. It's where those interested will find out the do's and don'ts on the campaign trail. While there's been a constant flow of candidates picking up their packets in the past couple of weeks, Pangilinan says their current focus is on volunteer voter registrars. They have more than 150 to date,
including every single mayor's office is staffed with the volunteer voter registrar. What we're trying to do is get voter registrars to every public high school and every school at the University of Guam and at the Guam Community College. It is mandated that public high schools and GCC and UOG have registrars throughout the year. So we're pushing that.
And if you voted in the past but not sure if you have to register again?
Whoever is not registered to vote yet and whoever wants to vote, please get on our website, contact our volunteer voter registrars, and they'll happily come out and register you. If you've missed 2 general elections in a row, if you've missed the 2016 and 2014 elections, you should have received a letter from us, if your mailing address is up to date, saying that we're sorry we took your name off the list. So please re-register.
She also notes if you moved from one village to another, voters must transfer their voting district at least 10 days prior to the primary election. The GEC will begin accepting candidate packets on April 17th. More details are available at gec.guam.gov. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahusi Nick Delgado.
This school year may only be half done, but graduation season has officially begun. Here's more.
It's official. With the turning of his tassels, 78-year-old George Cepeda Ulloa Sr. is the first graduate of the class of 2018.
Everyone, please join me, put your hands together, and congratulate Mr. George Cepeda Ulloa Sr. as a graduate of George Washington High School.
These words from George Washington High School Principal Linda Hernandez Avila. She, along with members of the Guam Education Board and Department of Education leadership, certify Ulloa's honorary diploma during his surprise birthday party and honorary graduation ceremony at the Manilao Community Center recently. Here's GEB Chairwoman Maria Gutierrez.
I know Mr. Ulloa, it's been a long time, but I think you deserve this, especially on your birthday. We just learned it's also your birthday. And it's never too late to get this piece of document. And on behalf of the Guam Education Board, the whole Department of Education, we really congratulate you.
Ulloa was only a year old at the start of World War II. The hardships from the war forced him to quit school at the 5th grade. He'd spend the rest of his life working to support his mother and siblings. He and others who survived the Japanese occupation are known as Guam's greatest generation. GEB Vice Chairman Mark Mendiola.
We're so fortunate that we're able to recognize this group of individuals who've made Guam stronger because of their willingness to survive. And the other thing too is that they are a wealth of knowledge. I was very fortunate enough that my grandparents passed down many lessons about life. And so today, although it's a long time in coming, I just wanted to point out that when we give out an honorary degree, it's really to recognize this individual's life journey.
When asked if he'd do it again, Ulloa says he would, because of his love for his mother and family. His only regret in his nearly 8 decades of life was not obtaining his high school diploma.
I'd like to say that I'm very humble in receiving this diploma. I cannot find words to express my gratitude and thank you from the Department of Education. To all of you, thank you for coming and witnessing this ceremony. I thank you all.
If you have any parents or grandparents that were unable to receive their high school diploma due to the hardships of World War II, Guam law allows you to apply on their behalf to receive an honorary diploma. Contact DOE for more information. Now to recognize a couple of groups recently getting on board with the Guam Visitors Bureau Holiday Pledge. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Sequoia and Let's Ride Guam recently took the pledge. Let's Ride even taking the GVB members out on a ride through the hills down south towards Tarzan Falls. The program is GVB's cornerstone local community branding campaign. It has grown to more than 700 private businesses, government agencies, nonprofits, and children who have taken the pledge since it started in 2009. Stay tuned, more when Weekend Edition returns.
There are more ways to experience KUAM News than any other source on Guam. Download the KUAM News app for your Apple or Android device for 24/7 news, sports, videos, weather, streaming with KUAM radio, and important news alerts. And stay connected at home with Guam's first app for Apple TV. All available now from the App Store.
A year is made of more than just 365 days. It was each new connection, every show of support, and all your special moments. Happy New Year from your friends at IT&E.
It's official. Ray Tenorio and Tony Atta are running to be our next governor and lieutenant governor. That means experience at the highest level of government, 40 years of combined public service, business success, the discipline of a police officer and a soldier. No learning curve. That means continuing the progress. Be a part of the Volta movement. Help continue bringing opportunities to all. Join us and vote Tenorio Atta. We are Guam.
With every era comes two things: change and a Honda Accord that defines a generation. Introducing the all-new Accord, the most impressive Honda ever.
Hafide and welcome back to Weekend Edition. This is Rehash. We recap the big stories of the past week. And I'm going to start with Nestor because he's outnumbered here.
The thorn among the roses. One of the stories that I worked on this week was Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson joined with the Attorneys General of 18 other states and territories to sign a letter to Congress which asked them basically to allow jurisdictions that have legalized marijuana, in our case medicinal marijuana, to let them use the federal or the U.S. banking service. One of the problems that cannabis companies have found is that because marijuana technically is illegal in many other states, the federal law prohibits banks from taking money from them. So the problem for these companies is when they make money, when they make revenue, when they make profits, they can't deposit it in banks, which becomes a big problem if you have big sizable amounts of profits. What are you going to do with it? So that's a letter that was signed by 18 other attorneys general and has been sent to Congress to see if they might be able to authorize marijuana growers and companies to use the U.S. banking system.
So hopefully this is also good news in Guam's movement towards medicinal marijuana, because we've legalized it, but we haven't been able to implement that law. Carmen, what were you up to this week?
So I did a story that deals with social media, everyone's favorite, Instagram, Facebook, and it, there's no opinion from the AG, so I'll start off with that as to whether it's legal or not. Basically, it's a pyramid. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a pyramid where you pay either $50, $10. You get to the bottom of the row, then you keep moving up until you cash out. And we went to interview some students at the University of Guam. Some of them told us it might be a Ponzi scheme. It looks kind of like something they saw in their business classes, where at the end of it, the pyramid can no longer move up. So someone at the bottom loses out. And so that's kind of the story that I did this week. A lot of people have been viewing it because people have mixed reviews, because some of them have cashed out because they started it earlier, right, than others. And so there's all these mixed reviews. But it was really interesting just to get the opinion of what people are thinking.
And again, everyone's opinion was basically proceed with caution, though, whenever it comes to your money and your finances.
Definitely. I mean, you are up to do what you want with your money, but at the same time, just knowing the dangers of what if we don't make our money back, right, is very important. So I thought it was a very interesting piece.
And speaking of social media, we have our social media girl here on the desk with us. Asha, what were you up to this week?
Okay, so this week we did do a mini doc on what Carmen was just talking about, so you guys can check that out on our Instagram page. But so me and Sabrina actually got to go jet skiing, and I will be putting up a video tomorrow, Saturday, about Joe's jet ski. And I was using the GoPro, and it was really fun. So I feel blessed that I get to do all those fun things. So
well, the rest of us
really no, you guys are very important.
But the social media stuff that Asha is in charge of actually gets a lot of views. There's a lot of homesick Guamanians. They love watching and seeing our 360 videos and all the beautiful sights and sounds of Guam. Again, it's not all bad news here, but back to bad news. I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news. This week, a big headlines was from Apron, Archbishop Apron. I woke up early in the morning and I found out I had an email from Archbishop Anthony Apron, basically saying that he denies the latest allegation against him, as God as his witness, and basically saying that he's sick again, he just underwent another surgery, and that he denies this latest allegation, saying that he's pointing the blame elsewhere. Again, this is the 5th time he stood accused of clergy sexual abuse, and so the latest allegation actually comes from his nephew, Mark Mofnus Apron. We spoke on the phone with him. Basically, it happened in 1990 in the Chancery, and he thought he was getting a spanking. And so Mark is now 43 years old, and this happened in 1990. He thought he was getting a spanking, and it didn't end up that way, and he was estranged by his family as a result of the incident, and now he's suing in the federal court for $5 million. He joins Roy Quintanilla, Rollin Sundia, Walter Denton. We have Sonny Kanata, whose mother spoke out for him, and Mark Apron. And so we'll see more in the federal court, what happens with that, but also no news with Apron's canonical trial in Rome. We're all waiting on that. And so Apron does touch on that in his statement. You can view that online on KUAM.com, and you can also send us any news tips that you feel like at reporters@KUAM.com. It's that simple.
2017 is rapidly coming to an end, and the big finish is on now. At Cars Plus in Mighty, get big year-end savings on a big selection of new 2017 Ram trucks, Jeep Wranglers, Dodge Challengers, and all Fiat models. Plus, buy from Cars Plus today and receive a Cars Plus value card where you get 21 cents off per gallon at all Shell stations. Big savings and 21 cents off per gallon with a Cars Plus value card when you buy during the big finish at Cars Plus in Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
For 20 years, Matson has been an important part of our everyday lives. Bringing in the cars we drive, the food we eat, and the materials that helped build our homes. From caring for our land through the Adaki Itanu program to generously supporting our local charities, Matson has contributed to the preservation and growth of our island. On behalf of those you've served throughout your 20 years on Guam, Sidus Ma'asi, Matson.
If you get nervous about having dental treatment, you're not alone. An estimated 35 million adults experience anxiety or nervousness at the simple thought of visiting the dentist. As your dentist, I strive to make your visit as painless or pain-free as possible. And I frequently tell my patients that in the 21st century, if we can give you medicines to put your tooth to sleep or medicines to take an infection or toothache away, we can surely give you something to help relax you and take all fear away. No one ought to sit in a dental chair thinking of bad childhood memories or fearing injections. If you're a dental coward, but you really do want your teeth fixed, don't wait until the pain is killing you. Come in, tell us your fears, and set up an appointment. We have convinced many that dental treatment doesn't need to be scary anymore. For your helpful dental minute, I'm Dr. Kenny Bourgeois of Paradise Smiles. You shall never know all the good a simple smile can do.
Sergeant Paul Tapawi is here, as is Rebecca Respicio with DYA. So we have friends doing wonderful things for the community in the house. Thank you both. Good to see you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so a lot of things are happening. We want to make sure, Paul, that's your jurisdiction, literally. You want to make sure that people are safe. And Rebecca, you're actually doing things to make sure that young people know the rules and abide by them.
That's correct. And as well as that they know the resources available for them.
Yeah. What are some examples and everything? Because a lot of people say, youth these days maybe disenfranchised. They get into silly little or dangerous situations just because they don't know any better, or they're acting out their frustration because they think, Guam's such a wonderful place, but there's nothing really for me.
Well, that's true. A lot of it is just peer pressure. They feel like it's the in thing to do if they're doing something wrong. And in most cases, kids just want to be good at something. They just don't realize all the time that bad things, they don't want to be good at being bad, but that seems to be the case now. So we've decided at DYA that we just needed to reach out to the community and let them be more aware of some of the resources that are there, not only for the children, but for the parents, so that they know how to better give their children those outlets that are more positive and some alternatives out there in the community, and then who to turn to if they really can't handle the situations for themselves.
And Sarge, you talk about this all the time. You talk about making every single Guamanian that lives on Guam from age 90 all the way to age 9, a steward of their community. And you deal with a lot of young people all the time. So how do you actually tell people that, you may think just because you're only a sophomore in high school and you have a certain last name and, you may not have a ton of money in the bank and everything like that, you can still take responsibility and take ownership for your neighborhood, your street, your village, or your entire island?
Oh, it's pretty simple. Just, them understanding who they are, understanding that what they can do and what they can provide. And the beautiful thing about it is that, what Rebecca was alluding to was that the resources now that are available to them when a child feels a little bit displaced or out of his comfort zone, the Department of Youth Affairs, and that's why we're doing this event on the 27th of January. We're going to provide the services, and we're going to showcase what Department of Youth Affairs has to offer with this partnership that we're doing with the government of Guam.
Rebecca, what's one of the questions you get asked the most, or conversely, when you talk to young people and you say, we can do this, or we can point you in the right direction, and their eyes get big because they're like, wow, I never realized that.
Exactly that. Their eyes get big and they never realize that there are programs out there for them. There are people who really want to help. I mean, DYA, unfortunately, we have a stigma out there in the community that it's just a youth jail,
right,
and that we only deal with the justice system and correction. So a lot of kids just think, I don't want to go to DYA because it means I'm getting locked up. They're not aware that we have three resource centers out in the community that will help them and prevent them from getting involved with the juvenile justice system. Once it's too late, it's going to become just a cycle of court hearings and court orders, and they're going to have to be mandated to do things further, and they lost their freedom basically. The good news for that is that there's always a second chance, and should their case get closed with no qualms, then once they're 18, they don't have that record. So they can become productive citizens. But before that ever happens, we want them to know that there are things that they can do to prevent themselves from getting locked up, getting confined. And we hope that this event that's coming up on the 27th is just going to be the beginning of a lot more to come for the community and their awareness as to what's really out there for them.
And this is free for every man, woman, and child to go take part in, ask questions, I'm sure, and, just figure out exactly what you guys are.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a outreach event. It's called Youth Services Outreach, and it'll be hosted by DYA, and it's going to be at just right here, your neighbor McDonald's in Harmon is going to host us on the second floor.
Outstanding.
From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And we have stakeholders and partners that are going to be there. So the Tamuning Mayor's Office is going to pass out invitations to that neighboring area, because that's where we're finding that we really need to target right now, and primarily is the apartments behind the McDonald's area. And so Tamuning Mayor's Office is coming in, and they said, you know what, we'll go out and we'll canvass those residences. We'll let them know what's going to happen. And then we have the Guam Police Department that's going to be there, Island Girl Power. We have Ife Magonta from Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness. We have the Micronesian Resources Center. Sanctuary is going to be there. I mean, it's just going to be a 2-hour event. They're just going to come, and there's going to be resource tables available there. We've also done some of the information, and we've translated it into Chukis and Pohnpei, and we're going to have a few translators, staff that work with DYA. So it's really just, we're here to help. We're not here to scare you.
Well, we are here to help too. So Paul, we want to make sure that we can help. So what do you got for the crime of the week?
This week is a burglary that happened at the Santa Teresita Church in Manila.
Okay, let's find out what we can do for our friends in the central part of the island.
On Monday, January 15, officers from the Higanya Precinct Command entertained a burglary complaint that occurred at the Santa Teresita Church in Manila. Now, according to the police report, on Monday at around 7 in the evening, church officials discovered that 3 Galaxy tablets were missing from the church's community center. An assessment was made where it was also noted that a laptop and a camera were also missing from the storage area within the community center. Now, the parishioners from Santa Teresita and the community of Minginao need your help in reference to this burglary complaint.
If anyone has any information about this crime or any other crime, you can call our 24-hour hotline at 477-HELP, that's 4357, or submit a tip online at guam.crimestoppersweb.com. All calls will remain completely confidential, and a cash reward of up to $1,000 could be paid if the information provided leads to an arrest and a grand jury indictment. Your call does make a difference.
All right, thank you both so very much. So that happens on the 27th at what time, Rebecca?
1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Harmon McDonald's second floor.
1 to 3. Thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we're back after this.
A year is made of more than just 365 days. It was each new connection, every show of support, and all your special moments. Happy New Year from your friends at IT&E.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
2017 is rapidly coming to an end, and the big finish is on now. At Cars Plus in Mighty, get big year-end savings on a big selection of new 2017 Ram trucks, Jeep Wrangler,